And now here's your host, Kevin Scanlon.
Something very dear to my heart. I've been a 49er fan, also a Raider fan for all my life. We used to have something in Mill Valley that was called the Junior 49er Minor Club. In 1969, me and my brother, who lived in Mill Valley, that's where the meetings used to happen, and they used to have Berkeley Farms milk. And what you would do on the back of the milk carton, you would cut that off. You would take that, and that would be a ticket for you to bring down to the Junior 49er Minor Club. You meet a player, you'd watch an NFL film, and they'd give you a ticket to go to Kezar Stadium. And that's where we got our ticket from, and that's usually where I got my money stolen. So anyway, I was a kid back then, and then they moved to Candlestick Park in 1971, which was the state of the art back then of the new stadiums. 49ers moved in 71, the Giants moved in 1960 when they came out from New York. Anyway, so we had tickets. My mom was married. We had great tickets. And I just remember the early games with John Brody, Gene Washington. I love football every Saturday, NFL. This is the NFL with Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire. You could see the games. Unfortunately, all the 49er games were always blacked out, so you could never see them on television. But anyway, so moving there from there, I was at the Dallas championship game. It wasn't a championship game, but the 49ers were supposed to win the Super Bowl that year. That was 1972. And we played the Dallas Cowboys, who we lost two previous, one championship game in 1970 and a playoff game in 71. So we never beat the Cowboys. This was going to be Vic Washington returned the first kickoff for a touchdown. By the fourth quarter, it's 28-13, and the 49ers were going to be going on to the championship game and on to the Super Bowl. Roger Staubach came in, threw two touchdowns, and Dallas beat us. That killed the franchise until 1979, which they were going to move the 49ers, I think, to Tampa Bay at the time, and then Eddie DeBartolo showed up. What I'm getting to right now is the magical turnaround of the San Francisco 49ers. Joe Montana, Bill Walsh coming from Cincinnati. Anyway, I want to get to one of my most treasured pieces that I do have. One of the wonderful receivers who should be in the Hall of Fame, Dwight Clark. Just incredible speed, incredible size, incredible hands. Anyway, so the 49ers get to Dallas for the championship game. I turned it off at halftime because I couldn't watch it. I remember turning it off after I can't see it. I think there was an interception or something like that. I turned it back on, and Chris Berman was on the field, and everyone was celebrating, and I missed the whole second half of the show. I just couldn't see it because I went through those horrible times in the late 70s. This is of Sports Illustrated, Dwight Clark making an incredible catch over Everson Walls. Just an incredible shot, I think, was done by Niels Leifer, too, for Sports Illustrated. It's one of the most iconic photographs to one of the most iconic games. Even though there were 6 turnovers, I believe, by the 49ers in that game, it was still one of the greatest games ever. Now, Dwight Clark went up and caught this ball, and these are his cleats that he wore during the game. I believe they are. I believe they're his cleats that he wore again today. They were both signed by him, and they're Adidas. And back, if they have the number here, 87. His size, 15 foot. I think it's 5'16" or 15. How you can verify the shoe is that the big player in cleats back in the NFL football in the early 80s was Adidas. Adidas had the market on everything. They were trying to get Michael Jordan to sign with Adidas. But these are Adidas cleats. And on the side, you'll see there's a couple interesting parts about it. You have your spikes here. You can still see some of the grass from the game. Also, on the side, you'll have something that says this, University S. University S right there going down here. And there's a matchup to actually, this is a style cleat, and you can see in a photo up close that is on there. Now, right here. As you can see, I think that I saw actually recently, I was having breakfast in the Bayside in Sausalito. Sorry, plug for the Bayside. But anyway, and Joe Montana walked in, and this was 2 months ago. And I swear to God, I became the ugly fan that you hear about. And normally I don't do something like that, but I walked over to the table and I said, "Do you remember that pass that you threw and out to Dwight Clark in the last 4 minutes of the game?" And he says, "Yes, I do it because I threw the ball." And I called my friend. I said, Joe Montana's in here. And then I told him that I kept going over to the table, and he says, now you're stalking him. But anyway, just a phenomenal catch. But I think the greatest catch, besides this one, was the last drive that he threw an out between two people. I swear to God, every time I see it, a tear comes to my eye. It was such an incredible pass that was thrown in such incredible catch. This is actual grass from the game that I picked up from a friend. So right here, this is actual grass from the 1982 championship game. So I keep this is my prized possession. I love Dwight Clark. I thought he was just magnificent. He was a walk-on basically. He died too soon. He passed away. And this is actually also, he had a restaurant that we used to go to, and this is his restaurant sign menu that I keep also too. These people should be revered for what they did for San Francisco, how they brought back San Francisco into big-time football. And what I left out of the last segment, I would like to talk about that. This is called this was a Sears helmet plaque, and ubiquitous back then. Everyone had one on the wall. They're kind of expensive now and hard to find certain teams. This was actually a real Riddell helmet, real plastic Riddell with a real 2-bar face mask. And I just love these things. They have the velvet in there. I mean, it's just so, as I said before, how cool is that? And in man caves, I used to go in there, and people still have these in their bars and everything like that. I just think they're wonderful. I've had many before, but I had this one right here. This right here is an official. This is actually one on their game helmets. Very hard to find the sticker also too. And I'll talk about that in later segments too, on how the 49ers used to have many iterations of their uniforms and also helmets. This is a small mill. This would have been 1970. They wore this up, I think, 1970. There was more of a pinkish hue in the mid-60s. I love this stuff. And as you can see, Riddell, this is an actual Riddell helmet that was cut in half. And whoever thought of that, bless you. You're probably not around anymore, but you made a lot of people happy. Now, I know I'm going through a lot of stuff today, but this is my first podcast. And what I'd like to talk about now is something that I brought in, is a 1964 Raider helmet. This was worn by a defensive back named Warren Powers. And as you can see back then, the Raider logo was actually made of paper. Very thin mill paper, and you can see the battle scars on it and just the age, and that's what you're looking for on a game-used helmet. Also, the Curse of Riddell was from it was from the 50s. When it was on the 50s, it's on the other side. Then they went to Craylite. Always look for a 60s helmet will have the Curse of L, the double L's on there. Also, they blackened in this during the early 60s and 64. So this is later helmets, probably after 65. You won't see the blackened here. Beautiful helmet. I have been known to sit on my bed and smell the inside of the helmet because I'm sick. But I love helmets. I think, and they're very, very hard to find. And they go for a premium price in auctions. The 2-bar is also should have a Riddell right here, donating that what year it is. Just beautiful. I love these, hard to find. I've had a bunch of them and got rid of them like an idiot. But anyway, I still have this one. Warren Powers. Also, how you can mark it up is there was a 20 on the back, and what they used to do after the season, they used to remove the numbers. You can see there's also a 46 in there, but you can see a silhouette of 2-0 on the back of the helmet, so you can tell that it was actually worn. If I had 16 of these, I wouldn't be talking about this. I'd be retired on a beach, but I'm not. Anyway, so the next thing I'd like to do really quickly before I go is that I'd like to talk about in future segments about authenticating jerseys and what to look for. I am not an expert, but I've seen a lot of them over 40 years. This is a George Kittle jersey from Iowa when he was playing for Iowa. And on the back of it, you can see that the nameplate is removed. That is, you have to do that. Colleges do that once the season's over. They can't have the nameplate on there. They have to remove it if you're going to sell it. This is sold out of a bookstore in the college. Now, it's small. It's 42. So, and I haven't matched up. You'll see hits on here, but I haven't photo matched it, which everybody wants. But what I do look for is this. I look for it's a size 42. He was in great shape, but also I look for the 4 inches in extra length. He's 6'4", so you're going to see this right here. You're going to see the 4 inches of extra length. If you're 5'10" or 5'11", you're not going to see that. Also, if you go in here, and when I was at the National last year, a very good friend of mine authenticated this for and told me what the tagging means. You always want to look for this is newer tagging. This isn't something that I normally get too much into. But there is a way that you can tell what year it's from. It says here, it says SU 15, size 42 on a flag tag, right there. So that's telling me that it was summer 2015. And that's when he was second year at Iowa. That's what puts the shirt in the year that he was there. Now, I'm not going to say, that's all I'm going to say. But authenticating shirts, you authenticate them through size and tagging. And hopefully I can bring in other things to show you what to look for. I've authenticated a lot of shirts, good and bad. I've owned a lot of shirts, so maybe it would help somebody else out if you're looking to buy something. So see you in the next segment.